All right, so basically my process for scaling out agency reps is pretty simple. What I'm looking for predominantly when I'm trying to scale out my team is first and foremost, do I have enough meetings to keep my team busy, right? And so I'll show you like with the new Stripe product we have for Agency Go, right? This is not my agency dashboard, this is my SaaS companies. I like to build in public. So ultimately what I wanna do is show you these Agency Go numbers, and then also to see like kind of the traction that we have currently. And you can see kind of in here, right, how many meetings we have. It took me 5 years to duplicate myself out of closing for Twiz, or actually maybe 4 years. But then to duplicate myself out of closing for my SaaS company, it took me only 5 months. And it was really from about here roughly when we started doing our hardcore sales up until here. So maybe 4 or 5 months, right? It took me to duplicate myself out. The thing is that during that time period, I had learned so much about scaling my agency and duplication and building out systems that I was ready this time. You know, I had spent so much money trying to duplicate and scale myself out before, and I just failed so often that I was ready to go through this duplication process with ease. I mean, this person I just brought on, his name is Nick Glunt. He actually is closer number 20 for my business. And essentially, when I went to find this guy, I had a proven process already established. And so what I'm gonna be showing you in this video is the exact same process I used to get this guy on my team and what I look for when I bring on a closer and how I ramp them up. So this is the first time I've ever just gone into full detail, mapping every single thing out for you guys. And if you wanna see an example, we just booked 22 meetings. Actually, another one just came in as we're talking. 22 meetings in the last 6 hours for this new closer. And there's a multi-pronged approach I have for this. So first and foremost, one thing you should keep in mind is that not all meetings that you book here are always going to be consultations that are strictly looking to learn about your service and close a deal. Some of these, I would say about 30%, 40% of these are going to be more so partnerships where we get to meet them, they send us referrals, and it builds out my sales reps network. Because what I learned when I was growing my agency is that about 30 to 50% of all the revenue that we brought in scaling my agency was from partnerships. Now, this is for a SaaS offering that relies a lot on word of mouth and virality, which is Agency Go. And so because we had a lot of partners that are involved in the process, we want to accelerate that partnership growth. So this is a key, right? I don't just book meetings with him for qualified sales prospects, let's say. I also book meetings with him for people who want to partner with him and who also might reach out to agencies and have agencies inside their roster or just any kind of service businesses, because I know that those people are going to send me business, and every one partner I have that's solid is probably going to send me like 10, maybe 20 really solid referrals over the course of their lifetime. So it's still worth it. And the virality and the growth from this is insane. So really my number one goal at first is just jam this guy's calendar as much as possible, like just fill it up. And as you can see, I typically do this. I give him 20-minute increments, that's kind of the sweet spot. And then I try to make sure there's at least a 10-minute window between meetings. You can see here 6:30 to 6:50, right? 30-minute increments, 20-minute slots. So I set this up for him because ultimately what I want to avoid is any kind of downtime. I also make sure that it's very clear to this guy, Nick, that he knows that he needs to be prospecting too whenever there is downtime. So even though I'm capable of stacking his calendar from 6 in the morning to 2 p.m., which is a lot of meetings, he also, like let's say around here, let's say I can't get any meetings here, he has the expectation that he has to close meetings and get meetings on his calendar. He can't just sit around, he has to book meetings. So even though I'm fueling his fire and fanning his flames, he needs to be on top of it as well. So let's say you've already gotten him meetings. How do you go about like finding closers and then even ramping closers? Well, if you're an Agency Go member, you can actually do it inside of our dashboard. We actually have a reps location where you can find qualified talent. Now, some of them are going through the vetting process. Some of these we actually have to mark as verified because they are verified. About 20 to 30% of them are verified. But what we do is we have an open marketplace for this. And then if you can't find someone within here, we actually match people onto teams. But we have our own marketplace, and I use this to even source for my own closers. And so I'm constantly finding new talent. I'm constantly recruiting. I'm constantly hiring. And that's a big deal when you're trying to scale up your agency. You want to always be trying to find new people to work with so that you have the best talent at your fingertips at all times. If there's ever a slip up and you fall behind, that's when you start to lose revenue. You need to always have a continuous line of people who can close deals for your business. That's very key. So assuming that you already have people, then you're good, right? But assuming you don't have anybody, this is how I would typically vet people. So what I typically did, if you go into like my Twitter, you might have seen a tweet that I put out a couple of weeks ago saying, hey, if you're looking to close for an agency SaaS company and also other marketing agencies, DM me and I will talk to you about it more. And so I sent this guy, this is one of like many people who hit me up. I sent this guy a message and I sent him this little video, which you probably can't hear because of the recording, but basically this video introduces myself. It talks about the opportunity. It talks about how he can work with us. And it puts them through this process. So essentially they go through here, they click on this form, they then go to this Airtable. Inside the Airtable, they have a first round of the form. And honestly, what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to test to see if they're actually interested, because there are a lot of people who aren't interested and are not going to go through all the forms. So some of the form is just to make sure they're actually going to do it and they're not just wasting your time, right? So I have them go through one form, they give the basic information. Then once they fill this out, it reroutes them to a calendar link to book a meeting for a call. It also says before the calendar, you have to fill out this form. Before they take a meeting with us, they have to fill out this form. This is what the form looks like. This is what Nick's submission looked like. And I really love what he had to share on this application. And you can see here, what does he want from the job? Create freedom for myself. What does a dream job look like? What does your dream lifestyle and compensation look like? What is the worst experience you've ever had? What is the best experience you ever had? I think what I'm looking for predominantly is I'm trying to look for people who are self-starters. And I'm trying to stump these people as they come to the door to make sure that they're aligned with my vision and our company's vision, because if they're not, then they're going to be a really bad cultural fit. So I love seeing things like who are your role models, family members, seeing that is always great. If not though, it's totally fine. It's just really whoever their role models are typically reflects their life. So for instance, if I saw some like role model that was just some sort of like scammy, spammy internet marketing company or something, I probably wouldn't work with this guy, right? But he said something that's a little more genuine, which I love. I also really like the fact that he has high intuition. He places importance on that. That's very important. And then why I should give this job. This is a big one that I started asking. I want people to pitch me on why I should give them the job. This isn't like a psychological thing. I mean, I guess it is to an extent, but really for the most part, what it is I'm just trying to see, is this guy, one, how good is he at persuasion? Because if he can sell me on why he should work for us, then he's probably gonna be able to close clients for me. And two, it also is something that you're familiar with, like you're very familiar with this job, so you're going to be able to judge if the pitch he's giving as to why he should work with you is good or not, because it's something you're familiar with. If you said like, sell me this car or like something random like that, then it might not resonate as much with you because you don't know anything about that product. So you want him to sell on something that he already understands. So I love how he addressed this question. I think that he understands things fully. Another really big thing that I've asked a lot of times is this, which I already said here, like, are you good at cold calling or other forms of outbound prospecting? That's a big one, because if they're good at cold calling, then they're gonna be really good at scaling, because then you get the pressure taken off of you. If you're just constantly have to fill up this guy's calendar with meetings, you're always gonna be at a disadvantage. And so I try to avoid that. Basic things like what is a CRM? I wanna make sure this guy actually knows what he's talking about, so that's key. This is, as you can see, this is very important because he has way more than this scheduled for tomorrow. He has like 20 meetings scheduled in one day. So he clearly is fine with it. So you want to make sure they're understanding of the environment. This is another very important question, and I'll end on this just for this section. You want to make sure you have them describe in detail the last deal they closed. Now, obviously they can make up any of these answers, but it just kind of reduces the amount of BS, I guess, there is in the process, because I guess there could be some people who are lying, but to be honest, for the most part, if they're giving a lot of detail on this, they probably aren't. So that's what I would typically ask, is how I typically go through things. Now, once you get them enough meetings and you have them, you've vetted them, you've gotten them from social media or Indeed or wherever, then what you want to do is you want to use Zoom for recording. The reason why you want to use Zoom for recording their calls to listen back to them is, one, you want to make sure they're talking about the right stuff. This is an evergreen process. This is never going to go away. You're always going to be basically trying to figure out Are they saying the right things? Are they pitching on the right products, etc.? There will be times where they basically don't really know what they're talking about. Maybe you have a new product change and you want to make sure they're not just repeating the same thing incorrectly over and over again. So this is an evergreen thing. You're never going to really stop listening to calls, but you can go a long time in between calls. Like for instance, what I'll do is I'll have somebody record the first like 10 calls, well, record all their calls really, and then I will go and like cherry pick a few calls at the beginning, listen to a lot of them, make sure they're good, and then once they're kind of in the rhythm, then I go forward and say, hey, you're good, you could take these calls without me even listening to them, and then periodically I'll just check back in on them. But the other reason why I like Zoom is because one, it's very easy for everybody to access it. It's incredibly easy. And two, they're fully compliant because they ask the person on the other side before the meeting, like, hey, just so you know, this meeting's being recorded, which is perfect because for a lot of reasons, especially in California, you be careful about how you're recording things. And so this, obviously Zoom does that, which is very important. So I make sure he's doing that. Now, as far as like scaling and ramping up his outbound, it's key that you have enough inbound coming through, which I've had a ton of videos, which if you want to watch the one called How I Booked 100 Sales Meetings in 24 Hours, I recommend it. That one is just something you should just give to all your sales reps and say, do this, literally copy this word for word, like do the exact same thing as what's in this video, right? And if you do that, then people are not gonna really have too many questions because it pretty much dives into how they need to be prospecting. But the key really is that they are consistently putting out content on a daily basis, anywhere from like 6 posts to 20 posts per day on up to 3 different channels: LinkedIn, Facebook, TikTok, whatever. It doesn't really matter, wherever they find that community that works. The goal is that they're basically consistently having strong conversations with every single person on the channel. So if somebody likes them, follows them, engages with them, comments on them, they're having a conversation with that person. And then you put them into a sequence on Lemlist, and there's a series of things you can do, which I'll probably go into on like an automations video to make sure that everything in here goes smoothly. But for the most part, you want your inbound reps or your outbound reps to just be living inside here. Everything comes in through here. Once it's in through here, then you're pretty much good to go. So I would ramp them inside Lemlist. And again, watch the video on how I booked 100 meetings in 24 hours so you can replicate that same process for your agency. And that's pretty much it, because at this point, what should happen is you have a daily quota for this individual. For me, I have a base quota because I'm trying to grow the membership. They have to close at least 2 memberships per day. But now that we're booking probably like 3 times more meetings than before, we'll probably bump that up to like 4 memberships per day, 120 memberships per month. Or maybe 80 per month is like the minimum quota. I guess it sounds like a lot, but when you're dealing with something that has high demand and you also have a product that sells itself, which ours pretty much does, then you're gonna get a lot of people closing. And so you wanna set a minimum quota, and then your job as they're ramping up is pretty much just to be on standby. The key is that you have to be aware, and this is just something I'll end with because it's very important. The key is you have to be aware that if you're gonna grow any campaign, any rep, any closer, any appointment setter, whatever, you have to be the person of last resort as they scale up to fix any problems, because you know the most, you probably do at least, you have the most information, you have the most knowledge, all that stuff. And so at the end of the day, it's very, very important that you really, really, really focus on making sure that no matter what happens, you're the last guy or girl that's gonna jump in and fix the problem. It's just gonna always help you grow faster. Of course, you could do it without doing this, but I'm just telling you right here and now, it's gonna be so much harder to have to pay someone else to constantly mind these people and make sure that they're doing well. Just avoid it and scale up with ease. I will be giving you guys updates as we ramp this thing up to show you like how things are, transpiring and if we're booking more meetings. But my goal is to pretty easily get to 300 meetings booked per month for my agency. And also, we're already pretty much there for the agency, but for software companies specifically. And then we're ramping up in total to 18,000 leads per day within the next 24 months because we're rolling out a new Twiz website. So that's gonna be really exciting to share with you guys too. But that's basically everything. Hope you enjoy it. Hope you found some value from this video. Obviously, please like and subscribe and share if you found some value out of it. Feel free to book a meeting below with my team if you want to learn more about Agency Go and how we can guarantee revenue for you and get your leads on autopilot. Also, feel free to download all my leads for free at grow.agencygo.io/leads. That's grow.agencygo.io/leads. Hope you liked the video. Peace out, Agency Go fam. Until next time.